Should you buy Terra Luna? The price has gone off a cliff practically to zero. The big question is it going to recover? If it does, it could be the buy of the decade. If it doesn't, it's very, very high risk. So we are going to do a deep dive into Terra Luna. Are there any technical patterns that are being displayed, even with the massive dive? So that's going to be the focus of today's content. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jiggy. I'm the award-winning author of The Extraordinary New Venture Capital Opportunity, How to Invest Like a Pro. Been featured in the best-selling book, High Probability Trading Strategies, back in 2008, where I only used to focus on currencies, but now exclusive on cryptocurrency. So let's dive straight in. Now, no one could have seen Terra Luna's deep dive off a cliff. Like literally a few weeks back, a few months back, $100 down to 0.002. And a few days ago, it was even more zeros, right? But what we can see right now, the market cap, like it went from a number 7 cryptocurrency now 206. The market cap is 1.7 billion, but look at the trading volume. The trading volume is insane. It's 7.6 billion, which is nearly 400% greater than the market cap itself. Now, the main thing that we're going to focus on today is this is the last 24 hours of Terra Luna, the price action. The big question is, when I'm looking at this, is there anything that's valuable to us that we can look at this from a technical standpoint? Now, the big question is, because I'm hearing even my own community go, there is no technicals, it's tanked. Well, in the phase of it tanking, like they literally this nosedive, I'm going to come back to these lines in a second. This nosedive over here, there are no technicals. That's just pure panic selling, get out, get out, get out. And that's only, geez, I mean, if we really, this is an hourly chart, by the way. So you can see, what we're going to look at is really the micro data. This is really big, deep dive, and it's flat right now. But there's a lot of volume happening here. I mean, this is still even less than 20 cents, right? So this is, it had a bit of a reaction, which was here, because as it was taking a deep dive, people were asking the question, actually, buying it at 60 cents or 6 cents even is a good buy. There's a bounce and then down, a bounce and then down. So we're going to look at this price action to see, is there anything we can see? I mean, it's scary how far it went down, right? Like literally, if we just zoom back out, where we get $1 into the range, it was a massive nosedive, not even on $1 yet. This is, I mean, I knew people looking at this at $5 saying, hey, this is a steal. Like this is a steal. And it just kept on going down, and we can see the pattern, right? There's buyers that are coming in, are going, right, can't go much lower than this, massive buying, and then it just went to new lows. And if we just carry on to like $5, like we can just see, if this is an hourly chart, it was just scary how fast it went down from like even $30 all the way down to practically zero. So this is Terra Luna, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to dive into the real recent data, and I'm going to look at this. I'm going to try to get this over here. Can I get it over here? Give me 2 seconds. Going to get this reset. All right, so what I want is, I just want this data over here, and I'm going to do it like so. All right, so first of all, anything that you do with Terra Luna is high risk, very high risk, very, very high risk. But the people that manage to get in down here, and even with this jump up, that's hundreds of X's, right? But there's also loads of people buying down here, and the price is down here. So 50% losses, 70% losses, and so on and so forth. But what I wanted to look at was this chart structure here on an hourly chart. Have we hit the bottom of Terra Luna? And if we have, are we going to see a recovery? And are we going to see any technical chart patterns? Now, when I only use Elliott Wave Fibonacci, and what it does is it measures the psychological mood of buying and selling behavior, speculation. And this is a phenomenal example of pure speculation. Millions of people, look, remember we saw this $7.6 billion worth of trading volume purely on speculation, right? I mean, this is like, is it going to recover? And people are like, okay, it's like buying a lottery ticket. If yes, man, if it even gets back down to $1, back up to $1 or $5, wow, the multiples are insane. We're talking hundreds of X's. Right now it's 0.0002. So let's, and even just above that. So a 10x would be 100x, 1,000x. So $2 would be 10,000x, right? Which is ridiculous, ridiculous. Is that going to happen? No one knows. This is a very high risk. But what I want to talk about today was on an hourly chart. What I can see is there's obviously some bullish behavior here. The question I'm asking myself is this low likely to hold? And is it worth a punt? And it is a punt, right? Because this has dropped so much. It's just ridiculous. Obviously, it's because the UST, the stable coin on the Terra Luna ecosystem, has the depegged, lost its peg for the US dollar, and that just caused massive panic selling. But what I'm seeing, let's just ignore that is Luna for a second. Ignore the reason for the massive fall. Let's just look at this price action independently of fundamentals. Which go, people are buying this token, and it's clearly driving the price up on a micro scale. It's an hourly chart. Is there any information that can help us to see what's likely to happen? And if it takes off as another leg, where is the next resistance zone that we're likely to see? So again, take this with a pinch of salt. This is high risk. But what I'm seeing here is some type of A, B, C correction. Right? We can see that because it's relatively clear. If you're familiar with anything Elliott wave and Fibonacci, this looks like a nice move to the upside. Whatever we want to call it, a wave one. And we just got a nice correction. And it looks like if it holds, we might get a floor over here and then the next move to the upside. And because a lot of people are watching this, a lot of retail investors, a lot of institutional investors are just like, wow, if it just gets back to a 50 cents, 20 cents from now, 20 cents from now, it's still 100x. Is that 100x or 1,000x? It's 1,000x. It's 10, 100. Yeah, it's 1,000x. If it got to 20 cents from where it is today, 1,000x. It's 1,000. It's $1,000 turning into $1 million, right? If that's going to happen, that's a long way away. It's a long way away when we're looking at this data over here. But let's just do two things. I'm going to do just some technical analysis. Take this with a pinch of salt, but this is what technical analysis is. This is what Elliott wave is. It's we're measuring the psychological mood of the buying and selling behavior. Even in these crazy situations, it's still common that a correction, because people are watching the price movement up, and people would have seen this up, and they went, missed out, and then the price comes back down, and the thinking is, well, I'm not going to miss this time, and then people take action here, and it drives the market up. It's literally just contraction and expansion. The market just moves in these waves, and more often than not, these waves can be quite clear. So what we're going to do as well is I'm just going to do something called an extension. Just going to look at this. All right, so it's likely, let me just get rid of this. Let me clean this up a little bit. We might see a short-term low over here. If it holds, where will be the next price pump, right? Well, most typical is a 1.618 to 2.618. These are Fibonacci ratios that measures the relationship with the waves to the waves. So I'm just going to project forward. Again, take this with a pinch of salt because it's such, it's taken such a battering in terms of the price. But these will be the two next price zones to be aware of. If you're buying, you should be taking profits, and then you'll probably see another correction. If being the operative word, it reaches 0.01, which is around a 5x from where it is right now, to a 0.0, let's call it 0.02, 0.002, which is a 10x, give or take. Let's call it 8x, thereabouts. So, if you, this is one of those cases where people that took the high risk of getting in down here and got lucky, because a lot of people would have been trying to get in here, but they weren't getting lucky. Then they found some type of bottom over here. There's a lucky bunch of people that got in, and there's a massive move to the upside. But now, percentage-wise, 5x to a 9x over here, which could be really good gains. And that'll be in a matter of a day if that takes off, if it takes off, if being the operative word. So Terra Luna, because what you'll notice with Elliott waves is it's on all markets and all time frames. So what we see on a daily chart and a weekly chart, if we go in, we'll see the microwave counts apply on even an hourly chart. We could dive into a weekly chart, a 15-minute chart. We go to a 5-minute chart. I don't like to go too lower time frames, but it seems Terra Luna is forming these chart patterns, and we can leverage this information to go. We might be seeing a local bottom. I mean, by the time you see this, we will find out. We'll find out. What we really want to see is the price go above this high. That'll be one of the main first signals that this low will probably hold, and then we're likely to see the price go to this next range up over here. And if it does, we're going to be aware of that range. So this is very short-term trading. If I had to guess, what I think is going to happen is take a picture, so it's a bit of entertainment. But if it takes off, you'll typically see something like this. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster, right? It's going to be a bit insane. It'll probably be more like this, I think, anyway. And let me just draw this like this. Let me pop it like this. Da-da. Right, and then what will typically happen is another big correction, because it's going to be very emotional. Like if this happens, like here, this will then cause massive profit taking, and then you'll typically get a big correction, something like this. And then, oh no, sorry, that was, I wanted to do this one. Here, bang. You might think I'm crazy for drawing these out like this, but what I'm doing here is literally it's just a psychological mood of markets. They move in 5s and 3s more often than not. So if it does unfold like this, and let's just say you are just watching on the sidelines, and let's just say if being the operative word, let's say it does flow out like a 5-wave structure, and then you see another clean 3-wave correction. Well, down here will be another opportunity. Now, I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but I just want to kind of get across the point that markets moves in 5s and 3s, and then the cycles tend to expand to the next expansion cycle, and it tends to expand like this. So if Terra Luna does recover, it's not going to be in a straight line. More than likely, it's going to go in these 5s and 3s, and you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then bang, another correction. And then it'll have a bigger 5-wave structure, and it will literally need to almost one step at a time, but there's going to be massive profit taking, because people that are getting in here, and if it does get in here, that's massive profit taking. And then people that get up here, get in down here, and it drives the price back up here, is going to be massive profit taking. So there'll be some type of correction again, and there'll be typical psychological mood and psychological patterns. So if you want to learn how to do Elliott Wave and Fibonacci, take the free Elliott Wave Fibonacci Masterclass. It's in the description link below. The part that you want to really, really pay attention to is, let me just draw it like this. There's a section in the masterclass where I'll talk about wave 2s, which is really what we're talking about here, but it's this kind of pattern. It's the ABC zigzag, this ABC zigzag. If you can get familiar with that, it's a very, very powerful pattern to be able to recognize, because more often than not, you'll find the bottoms tend to hold out, especially when they're combined with Fibonacci ratios, and then you'll see a movement to the upside. I mean, we'll see how this unfolds. This is very high risk, because it can go either way. But now, short term, medium term, the momentum will be on the short term upside. So just be aware of that. But again, very, very high risk. There you go. Luna, what do you think? Are you getting in? Are you taking a punt? Are you taking a risk? Risk reward, just make sure you can only, the standard risk, only what you can afford to lose. You've probably heard that a million times because everyone says it, but very few people practice it, because, if it's got potential to get back to 20 cents, and that's 1,000x, and it might take 3 months, 6 months, 12 months even, but that's a massive, massive gain. So it might be worthwhile having a small part of your portfolio as a risk, because even with $100, 1,000x with $100 is what? 100,000, right? So it's maybe worth the punt, but knowing that you're happy losing the $100, which is the probability of it going to $10 in terms of a 90% drawdown, is also on the cards. All right, let's finish on a quote. So I'm half giggling in my head because it's one of these where it's an emotional situation depending on your participation. If you was in at $70 and it's today's price, well, your whatever your portfolio was with Luna, well, that's practically zero now. And there's a whole different bunch of individuals. It's almost like the vultures, right? The vultures coming in to say, right, can we just get in at something super low, and even if it does some type of recovery. I'm part of that crowd, by the way, on both sides of the fence. Here I'm going, oh, actually, it's worth, you know, a high risk, high reward part of a portfolio where you go, okay, if it does do a recovery to even 20 cents, that's worth a certain amount of risk. And but to do your technical analysis is all in play. All right, let's have a look at. I'm going to go with chapter 4. So I'm going to read a quote. So we'll go now. Let's go with chapter 3. We'll go with 3. All right, Confucius, chapter 3. It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Right now, if you saw my Ethereum video a few days ago and my Bitcoin video a few days ago, there's like a macro thesis. And some people believe in technicals, some people don't. Some people pay attention, some people don't. Some people simply don't understand it. Or if you do understand it, is do you have the confidence to go by it? That's the whole thing. And in my opinion, looking at the chart patterns, is a big correction since November, not just Luna, but just the markets overall. But the probability, in my opinion, is second half of 2022, we're going to see a nice bull cycle, likely, right? Probabilities never certainties. And if that's the case, now's the time to just sharpen your axe and just be ready for it, but also be ready just in case it doesn't occur. So you've just got your whole thing managed and your portfolio managed as well. So if you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you soon.